We'll begin this morning with lighting what we usually call the unity candle, but today I'm calling it our unity light. And so this represents to me that light that is within each and every one of us. The light of spirit that guides us, that enlivens us, and we know that all there is spirit. So will you join me in an opening prayer? We breathe in and know that we are breathing in that life of spirit. For God is all there is. And as we come together this morning, we come together blessing this meeting, blessing this sacred time, knowing that as we each arrive, we are here and we open our minds and our hearts to receive the message that is meant for us today. I bless this time knowing that it is sacred. I bless the technology that connects us all, knowing that even through the technology, it is spirit working and it's all good. So we bless it all. We know that this day is a sacred time. I release my word, and we seal it by saying together, and so it is. Welcome to the Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Rick McCollum, and I want you to know that here we honor all paths to God. So I'm going to share a screen here. Now next week I will be sharing what all of the different symbols mean, because many people have asked throughout time, when you show that we honor all paths to the divine, what are the different symbols? What do they represent? So I'll talk a little more about that next week. But this week, I want you to know that we are an inclusive community. We welcome all people on a spiritual path. So no matter what your path is, no matter where you are welcome here. And we're glad that you're with us today. And now we'll have our opening song. And this is by Denise Rosier. She did this, it's a social distance version, and her song is called Come.
Take a hand, come, give your heart, come, as you are, come, 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 lift your voice, come, shine your light, come, now is the time, come, come. This
And now we'll have our spiritual reading followed by our meditation by our practitioner for today, Vicki Jeter.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here on our 4th of July celebration, and thank you for your patience. The reading this morning, I did some poking around. I wanted to find something special for today, and I found a reading by Chris Ross and Freddie Fry, which I have since modified some, and it's called Freedom as Fearless Motivation. Why do you want that dream so bad? Why are you willing to put in all those extra hours? Why are you willing to sacrifice and invest everything for that dream? It's not for the money. It's for freedom. Why are you prepared to risk everything for that dream that no one can see but you? True freedom is freedom of choice, freedom from others' opinions, freedom in your mind, freedom from negative thoughts. Freedom is a gift freely given throughout all creation. Experiencing your freedom is a gift you must give yourself. What got you here can't get you over the next horizon. In order for the outer conditions of our lives to change, we must change how we see ourselves, what we perceive of others, and what we believe about life and God. Work until you can say, I'm living the life I choose. I created this with spirit. You know, the greatest gift that self-development gives and does for you is to give you freedom. The more you develop yourself, the more choices you have in life. The more you learn, the more you develop, the more skills you have, the better you become as a human being, the greater your freedom. If you think that success in life is determined by outside factors, if you think that you don't have directive of your life, then you will never be able to invest what it takes to have that experience. Freedom is ours when we choose the road less traveled, and quitting is not an option. Freedom is ours when we strive for self-discipline and embrace self-responsibility. Freedom is ours when we know there is always more room to grow. Freedom is ours when we lose fear to share our love, laughter, trials, and tears. When you actually apply what you've learned and be the change that you wish to see, and continue to grow and keep moving forward in tiny steps, refusing to give up along the way, eventually you come to be that change that you wish to see. Eventually you get to the place where you decide how life will be for you each day. And the best part is I've never known anyone who embraced freedom and stopped there. Successful people don't stop. If they become financially free, they keep going because they have passion. Most people don't realize that it's an ongoing journey. People who embrace freedom choose to work, and they choose to work even harder because they love the process. Work until you can say, I'm living the life that I choose, and I created this with spirit. That's such a launching pad. I just invite you right from here to drop into a space for our meditation. And last week was so inspiring about what it takes to bring ourselves to be prepared for freedom, to discontinue feeding our limitations, discontinue identifying ourselves by those limitations, that I want to pick up our meditation today on the affirmation that stood out the most, that Pat put at the top of the weekly update. When the soul knows freedom, the law will free the body, and the outer life will express happiness and success. When the soul knows freedom, the law will express it through our body and every area of our life. Just take a moment to be with that. If what we know is that that is true, then our invitation in the meditation this morning is to check in with your soul. Check in with your soul and see, how is my soul sitting with freedom this morning? Does my soul know freedom? So let's take a moment. I don't know how many of you have often reflected on yourself as your soul, but it's there. It's there as an integral part of spirit. The soul is what gives us our individuality. So just imagine that your spirit self and your body self recognize your soul right now. Find your soul on the internal journey, and let's just take a brief walk through your internal landscape. And just imagine that you're on a path and it's comfortable for you. It's quiet and there aren't any interruptions. There's nothing to disturb you. And along the path, it is as if there's a natural corridor. There are rooms on either the right side or the left, or perhaps both. And as you gently walk along, of course, these rooms attract your attention. And you notice that the doors to the rooms have names on them. And the names on the doors correspond with the different areas of your life as you see them. There's a door for health. There's a door for your family. There's a door for your friends. There's even a door that says LCSL. Just pick a door. Let's say you start with health. And you go in, this is your soul now, going in to the area of your health. Just look around with as much love and compassion as you can imagine. And simply say, in the area of health in my life, I am free. Take a nice big breath, and your soul steps out of the room of health and goes to the next door. And in the next door, we find your family. And you pause there for a moment, as it is very invested. And you step into the room and you just notice, it's like everyone is gathered for a family picture. Just your whole soul family. And take a scan and stand before them, perhaps with a namaste, and simply say, in the area of my family. I am free. And allow your soul now to take that breath, step back, and find the next room. Perhaps the next room is the area of friendship. And you go in and you find there friends throughout your life, friends you have now, friends perhaps that have been departed. You take a nice deep breath, making lots of room. And from the depths of your soul, you prayerfully, lovingly say, in the area of friendships, I am free. Allow your soul to step back, and now realizing this process, take a moment to find a room or two of your own that speaks to you, and allow your soul to go within and simply unconditionally claim your freedom. Claim your soul's freedom. And allowing this entire process to perhaps go a little deeper, recalling, as sure as 2 + 2 is 4, when the soul knows freedom, the law manifests that truth in every area of our lives, and all is well. Now, for just a moment, take your own time in your own way, coming back from this place, and come back in the room together. And so we let it be, and so it is.
Thank you, Vicki. And now, as we prepare for our message today, which is what's your vision of freedom, I'm going to share our special music with you. And this is a little piece by John Sienna. So enjoy.
Patriotism. There's a word thrown around a lot. It inspires passionate debate and is worn like a badge of honor, and with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. Love. For a word designed to unite, it can also be pretty divisive. You see, there's more to patriotism than flag seeking with onesies and rodeos and quadruple cheeseburgers. Patriotism is love for a country, not just pride in it. But what really makes up this country of ours? What is it we love? It's more than just a huge rock full of animals like cougars and eagles, right? It's the people. Do me a favor. Close your eyes for a second. I want to try something. Picture the average U.S. citizen. Think about it. How old are they? What's their hair like? How much can they bench? You got one? Okay. So chances are, the person you're picturing right now looks a little different to the real average American. There are 319 million U.S. citizens. 51% are female. So first off, the average American is a woman. Cool, huh? Is that what you pictured? 54 million are Latino, 40 million senior citizens, 27 million are disabled, 18 million are Asian. That's more people in the U.S. that play football and baseball combined. 9 million are lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, more than the entire amount of people that live in the state of Virginia. Around 10 million are redhead, 5.1 million play ultimate frisbee, and 3.5 million are Muslim. Triple the number of people currently serving in the United States military. Almost half the country belongs to minority groups. People who are lesbian, African American, and bi, and transgender, and Native American, and proud of it. We know that labels don't devalue us, they help define us, keeping us dialed into our cultures and our beliefs and who we are as Americans. After all, what's more American than freedom to celebrate the things that make us, us? I mean, it's stitched into the stars and stripes of this country. From the Constitution to Gettysburg, to our motto, E pluribus unum, from many, one. It's even in our country's name, the United States. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, disability, sexuality, race, religion, and any other labels. Because the second any of us judge people based on those labels, we're not really being patriotic, are we? So let's try this one more time. Close your eyes. Picture the average Joe or Joan or Juan or Jean-Luc. The real people who make America, America. And this year, whenever you feel the urge to don those star-spangled shorts, set off fireworks the size of my biceps to show love for our country, remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
Love has no labels. Do you know that? Can you see that within yourself and your life? And is that how you live? Unconditional love, which is really the nature of each of us because it's the divine spirit within us. And that is the nature of the divine, is unconditional love. So that's in each and every one of us. Now, did you picture the average American? And did that picture change when you heard the makeup of America? In the United States today, it's the 4th of July, and we're celebrating our freedom as a country. So what is your vision of freedom? Freedom has many meanings and can look different from all the various different angles that we might choose to view it from. Certainly, there's our freedom in America to live and express who we really are. Or is that true? Can we really express who we are? Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." That certainly sounds like a wonderful declaration, doesn't it? But if we take a closer look at the history of this document, we might find some new information. Just like John Sienna enlightened us on what the average American looks like. Now, this statement, all men are created equal, they didn't really mean that literally like we might think today. You see, men at that time was not a generic term as we often use it. They meant males only. Because women weren't created equal to men in our founding fathers' eyes. Women were not allowed to vote. Women could not own land unless they had their husband's permission. So it was a different society. If you were African American, you certainly weren't considered equal to the white man. And of course, Native Americans were not part of the equality here for this history that was written by the white settlers. So freedom. In my mind, we have come a long way. We've made a lot of progress. And we still have a long way to go. Now, this is all about physical freedom here. And not all countries offer this kind of freedom to their masses like we have in the United States. So this can lead us to gratitude for where we live and the freedom that we actually have today. As a spiritual community, there's another type of freedom that we can consider. You might call it mental freedom. Now, I'd like to share my screen for a moment and show you a couple quotes here. So bear with me as I get this up. We'll start with one from Buddha. Maybe. Okay, well, that's what you're going to see. So the Buddha says, no one outside of ourselves can rule us inwardly. When we know this, we become free. And then we have from Ernest Holmes on page 10 of The Science of Mind, where he says the divine plan is one of freedom. The inherent nature of man is ever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom, because freedom is the birthright of every living soul. He goes on to say, we shall do well to listen to this inner voice, for it tells us of a life wonderful in its scope, of a love beyond our fondest dreams, and of a freedom the soul craves. Are you ready to step into this life of freedom? Remember that we can't be free until everyone is free. Maya Angelou said, the truth is none of us can be free until everybody is free. And that's because we are one human family. Are you willing to accept all people as equal? Can you see everyone as a unique expression of the diversity of God? We're all children of the same Great Spirit. That infinite intelligence of the universe is showing in each and every one of us. Joel Goldsmith, in his book, titled Realization of Oneness, said, the enlightenment that sets us free consists first of all in knowing that there is a divine power, equally present in every individual, regardless of their nationality, race, or religion, regardless of whether they live in freedom or slavery, whether they are in prison or out, in a hospital or out. Within each one of us, there is this potential, this spiritual impulse, this kingdom, this presence and power, which the Master said would set us free. That power within us that he is talking about is Spirit itself. It is Spirit being the life in, through, and as each and every one of us. We all want freedom, and it's not only in our nature, but it is our choice. Now remember, to be free, we cannot limit another. What we do to and for ourselves, we're doing to and for others. We truly are one human family. No matter what differences we might see with our physical eyes, through our spiritual eyes, we can see the unity in all of us. Herbert Hoover said, freedom is the open window through which pours the sunlight of human spirit and human dignity. Are you allowing that sunlight of your human spirit and human dignity to flow forth, to create a freedom in your world? As spiritual beings, we want to create a world that works for everyone. And that means that we can bring freedom for all people. And we begin by visioning that, by seeing that with our spiritual eyes within ourselves and then living that as we move out into the world. It all must start within, because we know life is always lived from the inside out. So we must choose our freedom for ourselves. As Vicki guided us in that meditation, to go into each and every part of ourself and declare and welcome that freedom that is our birthright. Then we can lift others into freedom. Nelson Mandela, in his book Long Walk to Freedom, said, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." You see, we are interdependent. And along with our freedom, we have responsibility, not only to create for our own life, but for the world in general. What kind of energy are we putting into the world? Are we taking responsibility? I have a story to share with you. It's about a 12-year-old boy who was weeding a flower bed and not happy about it. His face was a little red and he was muttering to himself, and finally he was ready to speak his mind. He looked up at his mother and he said, "Other kids don't have to weed flower beds. They're out playing baseball, and I don't think it's fair that I can't go." "Well, son," his mother said quietly, remembering that she was also a rebellious child, "you did agree to do your chore each week, and that you wanted to be part of the family to help out. You were mighty happy to earn some extra money, weren't you?" "Sure, Mom," he said, but not when the guys need me to play shortstop." He gave his mother a look that only a 12-year-old could give, that this was really unfair. It seemed like the proper time for his mom to share a small gift, and a little sneaky gift maybe, that she had gotten just for this sort of situation. So she went to the house and she returned with a small box. She held it out to him, and he wiped the dirt from his hands onto his pants and took the box. He opened it kind of quizzically, and he took out a silver disc. It was about the size of a 50-cent piece. Slowly, he turned it over and back again. On one side was engraved the word freedom, and on the other side, the word responsibility. The little boy studied the coin for a while. Then he grinned with a big, elaborate smile and said, "I guess there's supposed to be a lesson here, huh?" His mother said, "Well, maybe. Know what it might be?" The boy thought for a moment and then ventured a guess. "Could it be that if I want the freedom to play baseball, I ought to take care of my responsibility for the weeds first?" "Oh, could be," his mother said. "Maybe if you keep that in your pocket, it might help explain some other things too as time goes on." Freedom always has that other side. She said, "You know, freedom of speech is great, but it also carries the responsibility not to be mean or slander another person by the words that you say." She said, "It isn't a true coin without both sides." So freedom and responsibility, if we think there's only one side, it's counterfeit. The boy stuffed the coin into his pocket and said, "Oh, well, I guess some guys do carry good luck pieces." His mother grinned at him and said, "You might find that this one can be a real good luck piece if you use it to help yourself think." "Mothers," he muttered, but he was smiling as he resumed his weeding. You see, there is a responsibility that comes with our freedom. And that responsibility can take different forms. Our freedom cannot limit another person. It cannot take away their freedom. We don't walk on top of someone else to get what we want. That's not really freedom. In the Science of Mind text, it talks about freedom through the law, and that the law, which we say is God, Spirit, and the law, two sides of one coin. So the law is a law of liberty, but not of license. So Science of Mind is telling us that we are free, but we're not free just to do whatever we want. We have to realize that we can't be harming someone else. Just because we're free to choose doesn't mean that we can choose everything. Because if it's something that's going to hurt another person, then that's not being responsible, is it? We are one human family. And we hear that when one suffers, all suffer. Now, I know some people might want to argue that point, that when one suffers, all suffers, but let me tell you, energetically, we are all related. We're all connected here. So if you're creating some sort of bondage or limitation for someone else, if you're putting them in a box, a label, your life is not going to flow freely with spirit. Because you have limited someone else, you truly are not free. Bob Dylan said, "I think of a hero as someone who understands the degree of responsibility that comes with their freedom." Do you know the degree of responsibility that comes with the freedom you embrace in your life? Are you taking responsibility for your life? We all get to choose. Here's my final story for today, about choosing and seeking truth. After years of searching, the seeker was told to go to a cave in which he would find a well. Ask the well, "What is truth?" and the well will reveal it to you. So he set out. He found the well, and the seeker asked that fundamental question, "What is truth?" From the depths of the well, he heard, "Go to the village crossroad. There you will find what you are seeking." The man was so full of hope that he ran to the crossroad, but he only found rather 3 uninteresting shops. One shop was selling pieces of metal, another sold wood, and the third sold these very thin pieces of metal. Nothing and no one there seemed to have much to do with the revelation of truth, so he was disappointed. He returned to the well and demanded an explanation, but he was told, "You will understand in due time." The man protested, but as he protested into the well, all he heard were the echoes of his own shouting. He felt he'd been made a fool of. Indignant, he started once again on his journey seeking truth. The years passed. The man grew older, and he moved more slowly. He began taking some more time to see things more completely. One night, as he was walking, the sound of sitar music caught his attention. It was beautiful, being played with great mastery and inspiration. He felt profoundly moved, and he was drawn to the sitar player. As he walked inside and he looked at the musician's fingers moving over the strings, he began to see the sitar itself. And then he knew the sitar was made out of wires, pieces of metal, and wood, just like those he had seen in the 3 stores at the crossroads. At last, it dawned on him. He understood the message of the well. We all already have everything we need. Our task is to assemble and use it. Nothing is as meaningful as long as we perceive only separate fragments. But as soon as we see the fragments as a whole new entity emerges. You see, it's the same with our lives and with our freedom. If we only look at our individual freedom, that's not the whole picture. But when we see the human race, when we see humanity as one, a whole new entity emerges. It's a new world. And we open ourselves up to a much fuller life. Do you realize that you already have within you that life of freedom? Can you begin to see all people as one, even that average American? When we've begun our journey, we will find true freedom as we see one human family. This week, I invite you to consider your freedom and your responsibility. Is there an area of your life that needs to be freed from a limiting belief? From a thought that does not honor all people? What do you need to do as a responsible spiritual being? Set yourself free to enjoy the diversity, the warmth and color of the entire human family. Let us pray. We pause and turn within to reflect on this message. Thank you, Spirit, for helping us to realize that we are one human family, and that when we see the diversity of humanity, when we see all the differences with our physical eyes, we can look beyond that to see that unifying spirit, to see that we all want the same things, that we are all part of that expression of the divine intelligence that lives and moves throughout all of the world. And so I speak my word of blessing for each one of us today, to take in this message for ourselves, to glean from what has been said here, the truth for each and every one of us. I know that it is all God, that it's all good, and that we are all one. And so I bless us on our journey of knowing and living the truth, the freedom, and the responsibility of our lives. I release my word, knowing that the universe is always supporting and saying yes. And so it is. Thank you. And now Vicki will lead us in our prosperity.
Thank you, Reverend Rick. And we have had an alignment of the audio, so it probably sounds more like it normally does. Thank you, Vernon, for all of your efforts this morning to keep us together as a community. And on that note of gratitude, I just invite us into prosperity time, coming from the place of just saying thank you all for your time, talents, and treasures. It truly does keep LCSL alive and well and right here where we are. And Miss Pat has put in the chat for us our prosperity affirmation. And let's see, I have to get it to click where it will stay for me. Okay, I will say this once, and if you all would like to follow me, our prosperity affirmation is, I see my good, I claim my good, I allow my good, yes. So, all together now. I see my good, I claim my good, I allow my good, yes. And of course, in the chat is all of your various options for your giving of tithes and treasures. And there's the PayPal, and Zelle now is working very well. And also, you can always send us a check. And as Pat is wont to say, as she receives those, she blesses every single one of them. And it's so fun to be a part of that team. And there she is with her basket. My basket did not make it into the arena this morning. So there's the basket to everything to be received. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now I do believe we go on to our announcements for the week. And our most exciting announcement this week is that starting this Wednesday at 7 p.m., we are going to do our Wednesday Connections, LCSL Wednesday Connection, in response to those of you who have requested something midweek. So I'm really hoping that people that have not been able to have a chance to get here as easily on Sunday will make it for Wednesday. Any of you who know people who haven't been able to come on Sundays, you might reach out and make sure that they know about this opportunity. And each week, right now, we're just going to be doing the first Sunday of each, the first Wednesday of each month, and we're going to see how that goes. So it's 7 p.m. Eastern Time on this Zoom link that you did today. It's the new Zoom link. And Reverend Rick, is there anything else you'd like to say about that?
We're going to be doing it first Wednesday of each month, and it will be an interactive time. So I'm not bringing you a message that day. Well, I am bringing you a message, but it'll be a short, very short thing, and then we're going to be discussing it. So I look forward to your interactions on Wednesday evening.
Thank you, thank you. And do we have any more announcement slides this week? Let's see.
I think that's it.
Okay, then we are on to our
closing song, which is Celebration.
To laugh through all the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gonna celebrate your party with you. Come on. Celebration. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Celebration. We're gonna celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world, come on. Yeah. It's your celebration.
To last throughout the years.
So bring your good times and your laughter too.
We gonna celebrate your party with you. Come on now.
So celebrate. Happy 4th of July. I will leave you with this benediction. Know that as you go from this place, you go in that excitement in the life of spirit. You go bringing the fullness of life and unconditional love to the world all around you. And that's something to celebrate. Know that you are blessed this week, that you are guided, guarded, and protected by the divine intelligence and the loving arms of the universe each and every day. Go in peace, go in joy. And so it is. Blessings.